Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben and this is the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. Now for me, you can probably hear I've got the flu, the lurgy, the man flu, whatever you want to call it, I got it and I got it good. But barbecue stops for no man and barbecue stops for no flu. This week, I'm having a chat to Booma from Metal Ketal and Jye from Smokeface Grillahs. These guys pulled off RGC and GC respectively at the Western Hotel competition down in Ballarat this last weekend. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about that tonight. We're going to find out what these lads are up to and what's coming up for them in the future. So let's get stuck into it.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Hello.
Hey, Booma.
Hey, mate.
How's it going?
Not bad yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty good. Having a good time. This flu's got me pretty good though at the moment, though. But aside from that, can't complain.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah, I'm still not over. I had one for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Yeah, I'm shocking plus. I don't know. I'm nearly over it now, but yeah, over meat stock and that. It's terrible.
Sounds shocking.
Yeah.
So, mate, RGC at the Western Hotel in Ballarat, mate. How good's that?
Yeah, it was really good. Probably one of our most consistent cooks, and yeah, it's getting closer every cook.
Getting there, yeah. So is that still cooking as Full Metal Ketal?
Yep, still is Full Metal Ketal. We've done all our the main ABA comps is Full Metal Ketal, really. We have actually, yeah. I've done a couple of the SCAs myself as Booma Barbecue, but everything else is Full Metal Ketal.
And did I see that you're shifting your cooker?
Yeah, so that's just gone on the market as of an hour ago. Yeah, just a bit of a change of kits, I guess, now I think.
So what kind of cooker are you moving into?
We're going to run most likely Gateways and a Traeger.
Interesting. Gateways and Traegers. Why the shift?
More just I'm getting sick of not sleeping much. I generally have always, I don't even know how many comps we've done now, a dozen comps or 50. And generally I am always the one that stays up all night. And as much as I absolutely love the stretch, it's probably, one of the most consistent pits I've ever used. It is just a time consuming sort of thing. It takes a little bit of time to heat up. It's very consistent, but if I could 6 a.m, I'd prefer to do that.
Yeah.
Especially with the family and that. And also we've just towing. It's a big heavy sort of unit. You always need someone to come give you a hand. Traeger, I'll be able to pretty much load the trailer myself.
Yeah. My wife's been talking to me about drums as well, and she's sort of saying to me, look, it's a 3-man job to get your smoker out of the yard and into the trailer to a competition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to argue with that logic.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, I've done it, mates' birthdays parties and bucks parties, like, friends ones, sort of cooked for that, and it's been brilliant. Courtney's been able to run it all day, and it's an absolute breeze. But other than that, if I'm only doing a couple of comps a year, it just sits here. I might as well not go to someone who is definitely going to use it, but you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of, I've had it for 4 years, and it sort of sits there and might not get used for 6 months.
Yeah, it kind of breaks your heart to just see it sitting there so lonely.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we've run the Gateway for the last 3 comps, and we had some pretty close, fourths and fifths with it, and I think with another 1 or 2, and obviously putting a bit more time into it, I reckon we'll start obviously managing call ups in that as well.
So how are the Gateways different than to just a regular drum?
Oh, some sort of magic.
That's what everybody says. No one's actually able to explain it to me.
Well, if I had gone to the class when Tim and that were over from the States at the Q Club, it would have been great to sort of hear it. They did explain it, and from all I've sort of gathered is, they do call it this sort of vortex, the way it sucks the cold air in the two vents. And I think also having that sort of internal baffle plate where the air actually goes through to the underside of the fuel, and then it sort of does have all the way around it. And it just flows. They flow fast. Like the heat or smoke, flowing in and out is very quick to compared to a lot of pits. Like even some offsets, they sort of just hum along, same as a stretch. They along the eggs, like the airflow in the gateways just are really quick.
Interesting.
So that's all I can mean, like it is. And even though I suppose, the lid or the pit temp, the gauge is at the front. If the gauge reads 300 Fahrenheit, the grill's probably a little bit hotter. So you're probably cooking more, I guess, maybe 350-ish. But if you did that in the stretch or the offset, you're still probably looking at, say, for briskets at a guess, you're still probably looking at 7 or 8 hours. So for whatever reason, whether it's actual pit itself, like the drums, they are obviously a small little tight unit, but if you can knock them out in 4 or 5 hours, it's just, I can only think it's the way the air flows, the heat, the hot air travels past the meat.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, I wonder if the evaporative effect of that air movement doesn't sort of speed that along a bit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I'm sure there's obviously a bit of science to it. Like blokes like Smoke and Steel, Dane and them using their drums, or even Craig from Suckknuckle. They use the drums, or the boys who are hanging ribs in bullet smokers. They might all do them at 275, 300, but there is definitely a time difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the Traeger, now that's a bit different. You're sort of still sticking with charcoal and wood with the drum, and then going all high tech with the Traeger.
Yeah, well, I only just recently got the Traeger, and as much obviously love cooking on charcoal and wood as well. I started on an offset many years ago, but it was more for just something for home, something I can use at home. More, the easy midweek cooks. Not that it doesn't, you can get charcoal going in 10 or 15 minutes, but if you can sort of light that pit and control it while you're inside feeding the kids or something off your phone, you can sort of monitor it quite easily and adjust temperatures and put it in, pretty much cool or warming zone. More just for ease, really. Yeah,
sort of, I guess it allows you a bit more multitasking.
Yeah, exactly. Multitasking, see some of the people, pretty much ovens days, you're hardly doing any cooking inside. You're actually using it as a wood pellet fired oven. So that was the idea. It wasn't going to be a comp pit, but we haven't even ran it yet, obviously, at a comp. I've only cooked on it 2 or 3 times since I've had it. I only got it the other week. But I assume that's what we'll try anyway. I think I was going to do a test next week, try some chicken in it and see how it goes.
Yeah, so does that mean that you're going to add like a generator to your comp kit now?
Yeah, well, that was a thought we were talking about with the boys the other day. Generally, every comp we've been to, we've never had power issues. I think only been Horsham, and it was only on the setup, but we obviously had power. And then there was another comp where Ballarat last year, we dropped, everyone dropped power for maybe 10 or 20 minutes a few times overnight. So, yeah, that is a little bit of a worry, but I don't know. I suppose you just wing it, or you see whether we can find a cheap generator.
Yeah. Well, they've got those heavy duty sort of car jumper packs now that you just charge and you see people running lights and things off them. What sort of draw does the Traeger do? Would you be able to run it off that?
Yeah, no idea. I was going to look into that sort of thing because, I might find that you don't need something very big at all.
Very interesting. I'll be interested to find out how that pans out for you.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the teams are starting to run pellets as well with drum or whatever. I think it's just coming down to not all the teams, but a lot of teams, whether you want to sort of let your hair down a bit more the night before or whatever, or just catch a bit more sleep. There's a few other methods, with as much as offsets and that, you really can't beat them generally in terms of flavour and obviously the whole feel and that of it. But not everyone wants to load sticks every hour.
No, every hour. I think I'm at about 30 to 35 minutes on mine.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and technology, I think sometimes does have its place, and I learned on a stick burner, a Silver Creek, and then went to kettles, and then went to bullets, and slowly worked my way, went in ceramics, and now I'm sort of on the pellet train as well as the drums.
Full metal pellet doesn't have quite the same ring to it as full metal kettle.
No, I don't know what we're going to do with the whole name and logo. Nothing really matches. We've only got now a kettle, and that's it.
You just have to throw that one that you got that's all army painted up with Born to Grill on it. Just put that out the front as like a mascot grill, and then cook on your Traegers and your drums behind it.
That's it. I don't think the last 2 comps we haven't even had a kettle. We've just been other different pits, and the mascot. But oh well, that's all right.
So let's loop back to Ballarat, man. Tell me about that. What was the trip down there like?
Yeah, the trip to Ballarat was pretty terrible because after being invited to the Invitational last year, which was the first comp that we've ever had car issues. So going up to there, the car overheated the whole time, and then we hadn't had any issues for the last 6 months. And then on the way to Ballarat, an hour in, it's just under a 2-hour trip for us, started overheat again. So drove to Ballarat, stopped starting, making sure the thing didn't overheat, and then when we got there, it had dropped a couple of litres of water. Ooh. So that was a good way for the trip. But then just settled in, really. Everything was trimmed. I like to get everything done at home, so it's sort of an easy first night. And other than that, the weather was a lot better than normal. Like for Ballarat, it was actually nice and sunny. Cold overnight, but had the fire pits going, and then everything just went smooth. We had I can't even think of any dramas. The whole cook just went really smooth. Oh,
so it was one of those miracle cooks.
Yeah, which lately with our team, it's sort of been quite lucky. I think pretty much when we got RGC at Ballarat last year, that was also one of those cooks. Everything just went fine, and then I think we've done about 4 comps since then, and apart from 1 or 2 tiny little hiccups, it's just gone perfect lately.
Well-oiled machine, man. Love it.
Yeah,
Love
it is. Everyone's got their spot on the team. We all sort of know the way each other works, and as I said, I like to have everything prepped, and so generally you can just relax. You don't, it's second nature what you're doing generally on the day, really.
Yeah. We've started doing all our prep beforehand as well. I remember the first comp, the first major comp that I went in, I read all the rules, and it said all food must be prepared on site. So, man, I brought bloody camping cupboards full of spices and different ingredients, and I was actually mixing and blending and cooking my own sauces in a saucepan on site because I thought it all had to be done fresh on site.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think our first comp was similar. We might have had a few sauces made, but the meat, we did a lot of it on the day, and then once sort of after that, it was like, no, you know what, we're just going to have everything ready. And I suppose even looking at that, we're one of those teams that we bring a fridge every comp as well. Like everyone runs eskies and ice, and we just carry along a fridge every time.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we just like to have everything very organised, and like you said, a well-organised oiled machine, really. Yeah,
really, really nail down that system. So tell me about the hand-ins. What did you have to cook for Ballarat?
So we had, what was it? First up, we had chicken, and then lamb, pork ribs, and brisket. So 4 categories without the pork, which, that always makes for an easy cook. Not that pork's sort of hard to fit in the pit or hard to cook as such. Yeah, it's hard to get the texture and flavours right for the judges, but I personally prefer cooking the other 4 categories, and just eliminating that one category as well. Like 4 categories is such a cruisy cook,
Yeah. So what'd you do for the chicken?
Yeah, chicken, we did our standard cupcakes, which have sort of been brilliant for us. I think we've had 6 call-ups or 5 call-ups in the last 6 or 7 comps with them.
Nice.
We've been running this very similar profile the whole sort of time with a glaze. There's a glaze that one of the original members of the team, JB, had made, and now Al continues to make it. And I think, or we all think, it sort of has made us stand out from the pack with it. But it went really well. It was actually our lowest placing category, but in saying that, first place and second place at Ballarat were cupcakes. And funnily enough, first place did the exact same layout that we handed in also.
Oh, really?
It was a big coincidence. So like the cupcakes seemed to do really well at Ballarat. We still got 10th, midway, but yeah, it's all good. And then what was next? Lamb. We finally got a trophy. We've never had a trophy in Lamb.
Oh, really?
So that was the first time we've had a trophy. We've had a few fourths. Like we've actually changed our profile of what we're doing, and we're cooking the lamb a little bit less than normal, or less than we used to. Like we're taking it off the cutlets off a bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So, and since doing that, we've had a fourth at Masters of the Q, we had fourth at Meat Stock, and now we had a third at Ballarat.
Mate, it sounds like you're getting there piece by piece.
Yeah, slowly. Like it was always our worst category, but finally got a trophy in that. And then where do we go? Pork ribs. We ran spares and baby backs just to see which ended up cooking better.
Oh, interesting.
Generally we change each comp. It depends what I can get my hands on, like even on what they look like, what the bones are like, etc. So the spares I actually thought tasted better, but we couldn't get 6 straight bones off them. So we ended up handing in baby backs, and we actually managed to fit 12 baby backs in the box.
Wow.
So that was a bit of help. Michael from Butcher's Axe was there lending us a bit of a hand with mainly washing up, but he did his part, so he helped get that box to fit, and got the texture right, and we got a 3rd place in them.
Very nice.
What was the last? Last was brisket. We just ran one brisket in the gateway, about a 5-hour cook time, and personally, or we all thought actually, the texture of it was absolutely probably one of the best briskets we've ever cooked, and that managed equal 4th.
Oh, right. Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
So a very consistent cook. 3rd, 4th, 10th.
Yeah, I was just doing the math in my head there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nicely done. So when you're doing a brisket, do you trim the brisket to suit the size of the box before you start cooking?
Yep, spot on. I don't know, probably started off as a 7 kilo brisket, and by the time I'd separated and then shaped it and all that sort of stuff, it was probably down to 4 kilos, I guess.
Wow.
The point was absolutely amazing, as was the flat actually. And yeah, I try to wing it. Like it's taken us a little bit of playing around, because with the gateway, we've actually only done brisket cook comp-wise in it, which was that when me and Ross from Firehouse teamed up and made the team Just Need. So that was the first time we actually did a brisket in the gateway for a comp. And it's been a little bit of a learning process, because they sort of puff the meat up a bit differently. Obviously running hot, it sort of shrinks it in a little bit different manner than other pits.
Yep.
So that's taken a little bit of getting used to, but we try to make it just to the box size pre-cook, and then, fingers crossed it shrinks in 10 or 15 mil either side.
And then it's bang on.
Yeah, exactly. And then the burn ends, you just, depending on, as points do, the way they sort of, once they just try to get, at least 6 and get them to the right size with, what you're working with, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've actually seen Michael. You mentioned him before, Michael from Butcher's Axe. I've seen him there with his metal rulers and his prefabbed cardboard measuring things. So yeah, he
does all this sort of stuff. We don't go too high tech. I just do it all by eye, but it seems to work.
Oh, it's all by eye. Very, very well done.
Yeah, it's all by eye.
I try and do things by eye, and it just looks like I've might as well have just shut my eyes and hacked at it. Well, mate, we can't wrap this up though before we have a bit of a talk about this TV show you're on.
Oh, yep. So you've had a look at that, I guess.
I have. I've caught a couple episodes of that. Looks like you've been having a ball.
Yeah, it was fun. So yeah, that's Dipper's Backyard Barbecue Wars. It was it was fun. It was fun with all of us. It was also a hell of a lot of work. We all sort of probably, I guess, when you watch TV shows, you have a little bit of an idea of what might go on. But, it actually is very tough. Like, it was pretty much 12-hour days and driving all over the country, like, to shoot somewhere and then drive home, be back just before, 10, 11 o'clock, and then back on set the next day somewhere else at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m.
So how long did you actually take to shoot it?
We did everything over the course of a week.
A week?
Yeah, so shooting every day.
Oh, wow. That's intense.
We're going to try. The idea was to do it week by week, but between, all the camera crew and the production company and obviously the four of us and Dipper, there was just no way you could find 8 weeks that actually, 8 weekends that worked with everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
So we did it over a whole week, and it was a lot of fun. Like, fingers crossed it still keeps getting well received, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. So how did it all come about? I think I saw something like way back when. Was it actually your concept?
Not my concept. Dean, who's part of Full Metal Ketal now, Dean had an idea ages ago, and he approached the producer and that, they're mates as well. So I think they sort of got talking many years ago about it, and then one day one of them rang and said, let's do it. And Dean put the feelers out at this stage. So Dean put the feelers out. He got in touch with Justin from Smokeface. Justin then put my name forward, and we caught up and got along, and then we shot that little promo that a few people may have seen.
Yeah, that was cool. Yep.
And from that promo, it sort of took probably a year-long process to get sponsors on board. All this is above my head, and we sort of only see glimpses of it, but, a year to get sponsors on board, and then it went from one channel to another channel, I think, and then it ended up at 7 Mate, and yeah, it's obviously gone to air and it's getting pretty well received, and hopefully everyone keeps loving it. Dean, from shooting that promo, I said, why don't you just come along to a comp? So I think his first comp was with meat stock, just to get, a feel for it. And, now he's kept coming along to all the comps as well.
Well, you certainly threw him in the deep end there, taking him straight to a meat stock.
Yeah, exactly. It was just straight to meat stock, and then we did Ballarat, which was his second comp, and it was because Al couldn't show up. Al couldn't make it, so it was just going to be me and Courtney, and Dean's like, oh, I'll come along if you want, and that was our first RGC as well last year.
Oh, there you go, mate. Dean's obviously the lucky charm.
Yeah, maybe.
That's so good. I think I did see a post out on Facebook there about gearing up for season 2, so congratulations on that.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure. That's why I didn't say anything just yet. I wasn't sure what's been actually put out there, but season 2 has, I think, got the green light, so it's probably still going to be a long process. I'm not sure when all that sort of happens, probably next year, but obviously the public seem to enjoy it, and we obviously want to show more of what we can do. Definitely show Australia what barbecue is all about.
Well, mate, I think that says a lot, not just for your skills as, TV hosts and barbecue celebrity chefs and that, which, you guys obviously, when we watch the show, you're obviously very skilled in that. I think it also says a lot about how ready Australia is to embrace this style of barbecue as well.
Oh, for sure. Like, you've probably been around long enough as well. Like, in the last few years, it's grown massively.
Oh, huge.
Whether it be even just the pubs, the restaurants, pop-ups, competitions, TV shows, like, it's becoming very mainstream, and I suppose not gone are the days, but, now, like, where it was always, the spit on the weekend or the family roast, or even Christmas time, everyone doing pork crackling now, like every second person's doing brisket, or there's smoking, or, so it's definitely, it's changed a lot in the last few years. I wish when I started doing this, like when I started this, maybe 5-6 years ago, I on a butcher who could get anything. I was driving over an hour to go get meat because they had brisket and they had short ribs. Now, you do have a few butchers within 10, 20 minutes that have the products you need. It's just, and, the stores like the Q Club popping up in Melbourne, obviously I'm biased because it's our local shop, but, that sort of thing wouldn't have probably have really happened as much, the 5-6 years ago. I don't, it may have still been around, but it has just grown so popular, and I see all those places booming and that. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. You can see that the industry is really, really picking up in sort of in a similar style to how it is in the States. I just wait for it to be as big as it is there. It's going to be just amazing. Oh,
exactly. And that's, with the SCA as well. Like, the SCA is another crazy good concept. You can get in and start cooking them within 3-4 hours a day, almost. The cooking's done. You can pack up and, wait for the next one. Like that's another, the steak and all the different ancillaries. It's it's definitely there's just so much growth happening, and it's across Australia as well. You know, it's brilliant.
Yeah, the SCAs are really interesting. They sort of started here as a bit of a side comp to tack on to a low and slow comp, but I know several teams now that will actually turn up and just do the SCA.
Oh, for sure. And the SCA is starting to, like you're seeing these days. Like I thought, when we started first SCA at Meatstock Melbourne, and myself back then. Then we did them as full metal, but anyway, we've had like lots of trophies across different categories, but nowadays, like, it is really going to that next level. Obviously, the steak is where the steak is. That's everyone's doing that. But the other ancillaries, there is just some crazy good cooks out there. Whether it's barbecue or whether it's it's crazy what they're producing.
The creativity is just incredible.
Oh, exactly, and that's brilliant seeing that. And that's why like as much if there was a comp for us anyway, Melbourne, if there was a proper ABA full style comp every month, I probably would do it. But the SCA is it's just a nice little fresh sort of day to get out, catch up with some other teams, and as I said, 3-4 hours of cooking and you're done.
Yeah, 1 steak for the judges, 2 for yourself, a couple of cold beers, good day out.
Yeah, exactly. It's good fun. As much as we all do want to do the brisket and all that, I suppose it also it takes its time on the old wallet as well, doing all the big comps.
Oh yeah, definitely. So where to from here, man? What are you doing in the future?
Where to from here? So we've only got Horsham lined up at the moment, which is I think in August. Got another burger pop-up in July at the Q Club, so that's the third one we've done. Each time it's got bigger and bigger and it sells out faster and faster, so that's going to hopefully be a cracker of a day. And, that's about it, really. Obviously, sort out what's happening with the rest of the TV show, and I'll try to, get another few comps under our belt. But, yeah, just timing and location, really.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. Well, look, thanks very much for your time. I'm going to let you go. And, mate, best of luck in the future.
Yeah, no worries, man. Cheers, thank you.
Hey, this is Stan Hayes with Operation Barbecue Relief, and you're listening to Smoking Hot Confessions.
Hey, Jye, it's Ben, man. How you doing?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Good, mate. Good. I got the flu. I got the lurgy, the man flu, whatever you want to call it. It's got me good, but I've got some vitamin fireball here, and I'm fighting through.
And I feel your pain. Don't worry, I've copped it all this week. I think I've had the flu, got some other sickness, and it's pretty rough because I don't usually get sick. So I don't think my wife's very good friends with me at the moment. So
I'm actually sleeping in the apartment downstairs right now.
Yeah, she wasn't happy with me. She slept in another bed last night because she didn't want to catch what I had. So,
yeah. Oh, mate, I think we're twins this week.
Yeah, I think so. Probably worked out well.
Yeah. So, mate, you kicked things off this week with competition at the Iron Jack in Ballarat. How'd that go?
That was a very good comp. We obviously managed to get a GC there this week. It's one of our favourite comps of the calendar. The first one was last year, which we also got our very first GC at. So it was pretty good to go back and return to the site and go back to back.
I actually just saw that today as I was doing a bit of research into the event, and I was looking for photos of you winning this one, and all I found was photos of you winning the last one. And I was like, oh, awesome, back-to-back GCs.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because we got GC last year and obviously this year, and Booma with Full Metal Ketal went back-to-back reserve. So I think he was a bit shattered. He got a bit closer this year and nearly got us. But, it was photos are probably hard to come by this time. We didn't take that many, to be honest. And the only photos we got were from the they have an event called Played Up Ballarat. They had a photographer out there, so we had to steal photos of her for this one.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't find any actually published anywhere. It was a bit of a shame.
Yeah, probably. We've probably been a bit slack on it this week. Obviously, we doubled up into another competition. There's also planning for Smoking Broke. 2 of the boys are competing at the Q Club for the state competition this weekend. So it's been a pretty hectic week. So we probably have been a bit slack on the old social pages this week.
Oh, I wasn't specifically referring to you. I meant to the event themselves. The promoters hadn't published any.
Yeah, they've. I think because it's part of that whole Played Up Ballarat, there's been articles in the newspaper, the local newspaper. They'll be on that website as well. But yeah, the pub itself hasn't advertised probably as great as what it did last year, but they've probably pushed more of the advertising into general mainstream this year compared to last.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Mm.
Yeah. So Ballarat, how far away from home is that for you?
It's one of our local comps, and it's about a 2.5 drive from where Justin and I live. We pick up James on the way. James lives about an hour and 10 the other side of town, so it's pretty much a halfway stop to pick up him and not on the Ballarat.
Oh, okay. So not too bad then.
Nah, it's pretty cruisy with your 2.5 hours as your local comp. And you do it like it's nothing. So goes back to probably before barbecue. I would have said that was a long drive, but post barbecue, it just feels like it's around the corner.
Well, when you got that beautiful big trailer like that, mate, you just hook it up and away you go.
Yeah, she's a big wind tunnel at times, but it does make our life a whole lot easier. That's for sure. Obviously, there's a lot more pressure of trying to get in and out of comps. If you saw the Ballarat area, we had to back it down and park down a tiny laneway, which really tested my reversing skills. But apart from that, it makes life a whole heap easier.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a man to admit that I'm more than just a little bit jealous of that trailer. It's very cool, very cool.
Yeah, it's been a lifesaver at times. It's pretty good at some of the big comps that go for a few days where you can just lay down on the bed for half an hour to an hour or watch some TV and get a break from it all, or for the comp on the weekend just to get out of the wind or the rain, just give you that little bit of break, not be exposed to the elements. Makes a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, yeah. How was the weather at this year's Ballarat? I heard last year it was a bit rough.
Yeah, last year it was rough. This year the weather was actually really good, but I think all the competitors were a bit rough. Everyone partied pretty hard on the Friday night. If you had to come through, it looked like a hurricane had come through. The bed said there was a lot of dusty souls kicking around, but the weather itself, apart from it being typical Ballarat weather and freezing at night time, it was pretty good weather actually.
And how about the hand-ins? What did you do for the 4 hand-ins there?
So you got the 4 hand-ins. Obviously chicken. We always run chicken size. I would tell you that we keep things very simple. We're not one who tries to stuff too many cuts in a box. We don't like to overcomplicate things. So essentially we'll run 6, 7 or 8 chicken thighs in a box depending on the layout. There was pork ribs, which is pretty standard. No crackle, I guess.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
we had lamb, and obviously it was a beef handout as well. We rolled with brisket and got first place with that. But I do know out of 19 competitors, there was 1 steak and 18 briskets. So that provided a bit of interest within the competitors.
Wow, 1 steak. Who was the brave soul that put in a steak against brisket?
I don't think anyone's admitting it. Everyone's pointing fingers at each other. But there was a bit of concern going through that all these guys that have spent, we're hot and fast. We probably spent 5 hours cooking a brisket. There was some poor souls start from the night before cooking a brisket. Be outdone by a steak, I reckon they would have turned Ballarat upside down if it had happened. But that's part of the contest. That's the category. So
yeah, you're looking at what, 8.5, 9 minutes for a decent ribeye.
Oh, look, I had asked a question here. We're like, geez, we might as well roll out some top of the range Wagyu Scotch fillets and knock it out in a couple of minutes and get a few more hours sleep. It does make you question. And if it comes up again, we probably, to be all honest, we'd probably change our box. We'd probably still roll with brisket. We might go something a little bit exotic as well, just to give the judges a break from eating 19 slices of brisket, because that was the feedback that we got when we asked them. So I don't know how the steak scored or where it landed, but from what I could tell, it was probably on the upper end, and they found it quite refreshing to have that break from obviously that beefy richness that brisket gives you.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about it from a strategic point of view.
Yeah, well, I think that raised a few questions because a few of us are talking about it afterwards, and I guess it's almost, you got to look at it like how Chef's Choice went, where that all went to desserts to give a break from the proteins. And I guess if you can give yourself any advantage in these competitions to stand out, you're going to try to take it. And if the judges see it as a bit of a break and something, if it's done well and complements what you've done, then it might be something that pushes you ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, true. Now, when you say that you guys do chicken thighs, are you pillows or cupcakes?
Justin's the chicken man, so he does pretty much all our chicken cooks apart from one, when he didn't come to Adelaide and I had to step in. I would tell you that we run cupcakes at the moment. However, as we get closer to the Royal, we're rolling over to pillows because we know and we've been told that pretty much cupcakes will tank in America.
Interesting. Is that just because like that fad has come and gone?
That's what the report. I think when Myron came out with his cupcake chicken all those years ago, I think that was the biggest thing on the circuit in America. And look at had its day there, and I think it just gets absolutely hammered now, which is pretty contrast to what's happening in Australia because you see a lot of cupcake chickens still kicking about a comp. Personally, I actually really enjoy the way they look and how they sit in the box and the edibility of them. But I guess in America, they're pretty much done, moved past it, and they want something that's a bit more natural looking. But it does provide interest because I guess as we get closer to the Royal, we'll probably have to we will start sacrificing some of our ABA cooks to try practice some of those more American styles and flavours as we get over there.
Right. Now, when you say that, do you mean that you'll just not go to some ABA competitions, or do you mean you'll actually submit American-style cooks at ABA competitions?
We'd probably be looking at starting to submit American-style cooks at ABA competitions. So, obviously, with ABA, you don't have to have your money muscle attached. You can cook it separately to the rest of your pork. So, with KCBS, you got to have the money muscle attached. They have all other rules. Obviously, we did the shake and bake class, and they come out at the Q Club, and we learned a few tricks there, which completely changed the way you'd look at pulled pork. So we've been practicing some of those things, and look, as we get closer, we probably understand that our results may dip, but there's probably a greater goal for us to try to do half decent when we're in America.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the briskets have to be done whole as well, don't they? Or you can butterfly them, but you can't actually separate the point from the flat?
I think that was a rule, but I believe you can separate now.
Okay.
I know with shake and bake and getting basic coming out, they separated, and I've seen Sterling. I think Sterling separated when he was out here as well in the class. So I think once upon a time the rule was they had to be together. But yeah, I don't think that's the case anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I know that when I competed at Houston, and Houston is a standalone event, so it's not technically KCBS, but they model off KCBS, and we had to cook the brisket whole there. So, but that was 18 months ago. So
yeah, look, and Houston does do things slightly differently as well. They have the half chicken as well, I guess, as well, instead of any cut. So yeah, I know with KCBS, from what the guys are telling me, separated still is okay, but yeah, I think the Houston might be a little bit of its own beast in those terms. Yeah,
definitely. Now, you mentioned it before, so let's have a bit of a chat about it. The crackle on the ribs.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
Fill us in on what that story is.
Oh, that's been kicking around all over ABA, I guess, but I think in Bundaberg someone chucked a hand in with crackle on the ribs, which has caused quite a bit of conjecture amongst the competing public. I find it pretty interesting, to tell you the truth. I know they had the crackle gate with the chicken and pork mac. I know they've refined the rules to say that it can't happen now, but yeah, personally, look, if it was a pork hand in, you could probably roll the dice to crackle, but I wouldn't do it in the rib. You're just giving the judges too many elements to possibly criticise, but yeah, there's a bit of conjecture about that one.
The way I heard it was that the justification was that they had cooked the skin-on, bone-in pork belly, and that because it was all one piece, that was why they were able to include the crackle or something like that.
Yeah, that's an issue. I haven't heard that take. Look, I like stirring the pot every now and then. I'm guilty of that. But look, I haven't looked into it too much. For us, we would never do it. But I know discussing in our own circles, if it was the country style rib that you see in America on some comps, you'd probably wear the crackle if it was attached. But if it was separated and then added onto it, look, that probably probably doesn't sit well with what I'd consider a hand in. But look, it happened, and the little crackle did look bloody tasty on there too. So good luck to them. They got through in that comp, but I know they have refined it, so it can't happen this time again.
Yeah, I will admit that the photos did look pretty damn good.
Yeah, look, even the ribs look pretty good. I think they got a placing, so you couldn't complain either way. Because I think if they took the crackle off, who knows, they might have done better. Could have affected their texture scores. So
I want to say it was a pretty high place too. I want to say it was maybe third.
Yeah, I think that was what we're being told. I couldn't confirm that, but yeah, who knows? They might have got first without it. It might have caused them to get third. You don't know.
No.
It had so many variables that, look, it's one of those things like not putting a protein in the box, like only handing in point or burn ends. It does take balls to do something like that. So, and I don't, when it comes to ABA, we literally just try run straight down the line. So,
yeah, got to play it safe and just make sure you get those points in.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not about the best barbecue you've tasted. It's about just not offending everybody, I guess. So that's the goal.
Yeah, it's a good guideline to have. Yeah. Now, tell me about the second comp that you did this week. You snuck in a bit of a sneaky midweek comp.
Yeah, it was a bit of fun. It was a comp setup, but it was probably more of a demonstration the way they had it. So we nicked up to Albury on the Wednesday. We're up there on Tuesday night, actually, for the first Angus Invitational. There was meant to be 10 teams, but only 9 in the finish showed up, which I must say it's always a lot of fun when you're at these small events. And we were the only Victorian team. The rest of the teams were from New South Wales, so we got to catch up with a lot of people we don't get to see as often. And it was a lot of fun, very different. They had a tri-tip, beef cheek, brisket, and sirloin as the hand-ins. And yeah, it was only Chris and myself who made it up there, and both of us, well, I got pretty crook on the Tuesday and kind of had to push through for the weekend, and I think I got poor Chris sick on the way home.
Oh, no.
It was a struggle, and we knew we went up there for a bit of fun. We haven't cooked much tri-tip, to be honest with you. I probably cooked it once, and I think Chris had cooked it once. And we'd never cooked beef cheek between the two of us, so we're rolling the dice with that as well. And after cooking it, I don't know if I'm going to cook that again, to be honest with you.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan, but I must say that some of the hand-ins I tasted from all the guys there were absolutely top of the class. Like, it was a very, very good comp. And I think the Grillahs and the Mist Boys snuck away with that one. So it's a nice little cash prize for them.
Yeah, very good, very good. Now, that was that part of a conference?
Yeah, so it was for the Angus Society. So I think it was the Black Angus Society. So it's all the Black Angus brands were there. All the meats were donated. The comp cost nothing. There was prizes down the last place, which we took.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, got our first last place, which was a bit of fun. It said in jest, but yeah, it was more of a kind of like a showpiece competition. Very unique. There was half an hour hand-in window, so we had 30 minutes to turn everything in. And within that 30 minutes, you not only had to prepare your box, you also had to feed the crowd. So you're pretty much feeding the crowd as you were trying to prepare for the other box. And it was a lot going on. There was a whole heap going on, and yeah, it was actually it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was pretty exhausting as well.
I'd imagine so, especially with just the two of you.
Yeah, and coming off a comp on the Saturday, I'll be honest with you, I was probably lucky to get 2 hours sleep on that Ballarat comp. Everyone let their hair down pretty well, and like usual, I'm probably one of the worst for that when it gets going. So I didn't get much sleep myself, and we got up there, we got crooked. We probably struggled once it come through, but yeah, it was a beautiful night down there. It was a great event. If they put it on again, we probably wouldn't miss it, even though it was the dreaded ABA light, as they say. It was just something that we'd probably, it's just something different, and we always like doing something different and challenging ourselves. So
the Ballarat comp or the Angus comp was the ABA light?
The Angus comp was the ABA light.
Oh, righto, okay.
Yeah. So the Ballarat comp was fully sanctioned. There was 20 teams there, but yeah, there was only 10 teams for the Angus comp, and because it was all beef hand-ins, I don't know how the criteria meets, but yeah, it was an ABA light comp.
Yeah, I haven't read up too much about that, to be honest. So how did you find it as from that perspective as an ABA light comp?
Look, I'll be honest with you. When we got the invitation, it wasn't invitational. So if it wasn't for the people that actually organised it and the teams that were going, we probably would have. That's probably what turned us to say yes, just as a bit of fun. Did have good, like the way they set it up, they did reward everyone for heading up there. It was like you got money down to last place. I think the GC took 3,500 home, and I think there was 2,000 for RGC. So
that's a very nice little pickup.
Yeah, I think it was $1,000 for third, and then all the way down to $200 for 10th place. It was the only thing. Yeah, all the meat was provided, but yeah, it was very country comp. We probably rocked flavors that were a bit more comp and probably suffered for it as well. Where I think a lot of the other teams read the judging and the area better than what we did and lightened everything up a bit and cooked some really, really good food. But yeah, the cooking tri-tip and a few of the other cuts at a comp was very, very different. And there was some very different techniques being used. There was parillas about. There was rotisserie where I think the boys from Rolling Smoke did a Picana-style sirloin, which was really tasty. So it wasn't just like your straight competition hand-ins going in. It got pretty out there, which was pretty cool to see.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. We probably suffered because we didn't unpack our trailer. We had plans to take other pits up there, and I'll be honest with you, we just left the trailer packed and took all our smoking gear up there and rocked up with the Myron and GA with some grill grades. But yeah, if we did it again, we'd probably bring some different equipment up and get a bit fancy like the other guys did.
Yeah, very cool. Set up a big Argentinian style cross and just do a whole side of cow.
Yeah,
and then just cut those individual cuts off the side of cow.
Oh mate, there was a lot of meat. Like I think we had to cook 4 tri-tips, 12 beef cheeks. There was 2 whole sirloin rolls and 2 whole briskets.
That is a lot.
We had to hand in 8 slices for each, and then there was 2 whole beef cheeks within 8 slices, and they had little rules like that. But the rest of it had to be cut and served for the public. We got a helper to help serve the public. But just that whole, with the half an hour turning window, just that whole process, it was it put a lot of pressure on it. It really sorted out who was who, and it probably left us behind a little bit, to be honest. So.
Oh mate, sounds like you had a ball though.
Yeah, it was fun. Apart from getting crooked, it was we did have a lot of fun. Obviously, catching up with all the guys from Angus Reserve, and you got Texas, and you got the Grillahs and the Mist Boys, and Rob Thraves and Rolling Shane and all those guys. We don't get to see those guys too often, so it's always good just to have a beer with them and a good yak. Yeah.
Now, speaking of Rob, you did mention Smoking Broke there before. Is that what's coming up for you in the future?
Yeah. So we'll, as I said, it's been a pretty busy period. We've rolled out of Ballarat. We rolled to the midweek comp. There's the SCA comp at the Q Club, and then I think 2 weeks after, we got the Smoking Broke. So we'll roll in the Smoking Broke, and after that, I think we're booked in for meat in Horsham.
Yep.
And then it's off to the States for us. So after that, we only have the invitation, and we possibly might sneak another comp in. We're just deciding that still.
Yeah. Interesting. So you got about probably three more comps left here in Australia.
Yeah, at the moment it's 3 comps minimum. We are looking at doing, obviously we've got Jared McDonald out of New Zealand's become a very good friend of ours, and he's got his Barbecue Mania 2 comp running.
Yep.
Which is another pretty cool comp because he does different categories there. I think he's got, like, last year had a rotisserie hand in, he's got a duck hand in, beef ribs. He kind of throws it all down. He's a big ambassador for barbecue, and he's a good friend. So if we can get a chance, we'd like to go out there and give him a hand, but we probably might keep one local Australian comp up our sleeve as well. But I guess that just depends on how likely Justin and I are going to live in the trailer after our wives leave us or not. So we'll just see how far we can push it.
It's a very nice trailer, but I think it might get a bit too cozy with 2 of you big blokes in there.
That's all right. We feel like we've been living with each other for a long time anyway, with the amount of comps we've done in recent. So.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. Look, I'm going to say best of luck with Smoking Broke, and of course at the Royal. I'll catch up with you before then though, because I'm coming down to Horsham, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And mate, best of luck with it, and thanks for coming on board.
No problem. Thanks for having a chat again, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Horsham.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
Alrighty folks, there you have it. That was Booma from Metal Ketal and Jye from Smokeface Grillahs, the Reserve Grand Champion and Grand Champion respectively from the Iron Jack BBQ competition at the Western Hotel down in Ballarat. Really good fellas and always a good time catching up with them. Next week is going to be a huge episode. I haven't even wrapped my mind around how I'm going to be able to handle that. There is going to be 4 competitions to talk about, I think. There's the Angus competition. I'm going to try and get hold of Gorillas in the Mist. And then there's the SCA competition at Q Club, the competition in Ipswich, and of course the competition in Gloucester and New South Wales. So that's 3 comps happening on this weekend. There's 3 comps this weekend, the one happening during the middle of the week. That's going to be loads of people to try and talk to for next week's episode. It's going to be awesome. So make sure you tune in again next week to catch that one. In the meantime, do yourself a favor, head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com/shop. All our killer merch is up there now. We've got our kettle caps, we've got the Hail Mary t-shirts, we've got the SHC tumblers, and we've got some beautiful, nice, large size stickers there. The stickers the size of your face. Almost. Easily the size of your hand. So head on over there, check them out, and until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.